Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video. Today I'll be talking about my personal workflow for editing and storing all my videos. Now before getting started, if you haven't already, be sure to press the subscribe button down below. It'll make sure you get notified every week when I release a new video. Now this video is meant for people who have a lot of media files, so videographers, editors, photographers, filmmakers, anyone who has a lot of media and needs to store it somewhere. I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to optimize my workflow for filming, editing, and then storing all my video files. And the biggest reason for me buying my NAS was for this purpose. I needed a new workflow because my other way was just not working anymore. So the best way for me to explain this is to walk you through my process. Now the first thing I do after filming a video is I take the SD card and I copy all the footage to an external hard drive I have plugged into my computer. I use a Samsung external SSD. It's 1 terabyte in size and it's really fast for transferring and writing files. The other advantage of using an external SSD is I can bring it with me when I travel. It's a USB-C drive, so it works really great with my laptop as well. And what I did was on my SSD, I have a template folder, and whenever I have a new project, I just name the project and I copy all the subfolders in the template into the project folder. And this just keeps me really organized. I hate having files all dumped in one place or all over the place. I want to make sure I'm organizing the type of files I have so I can quickly go back and access them. And one important thing to note is while I do this, I also keep the files on the SD card I filmed everything on. It's super important to have your footage or whatever you have in 2 places. You never want to lose the files just because you didn't back them up somewhere. So in this whole editing process, I always keep the original files on the SD card and I have the copy that I'm working off of on the external hard drive. Now at this point, I go ahead and I edit the video. I do all the editing and I export the final video and I publish it to YouTube. Once the video is published and on YouTube, I have to do something with all the files that I generated while making the video. And what I used to do is I stored all the footage that I recorded and archived them. And what I realized is, especially as I transitioned to 4K, is these file sizes are huge and it's taking up a lot of space for me to archive all these video files. So I made the decision this year to only back up B-roll. And what B-roll is everything else besides this part right here. What you're seeing right now is me talking to the camera. That's the primary A-roll shot. But everything else on top of this is B-roll, and I only want to save that because I could reuse those files for future videos. But me talking into a camera right now is very specific to this video right now. I have no reason to save this part of the video. So what I do now is I delete all the footage that I have recorded of me talking into the camera. I keep the final export and I keep the final render. I don't touch that. But the raw video of me talking into a camera, this often turns into me talking for 15-20 minutes when I'm filming, and it just takes up a lot of space. So at this point, I've deleted all of the talking footage, I've kept all the B-roll, and I have the final render that I exported from Adobe Premiere. The first thing I do now is I actually copy the final export and I put it into a special folder that I have on my Dropbox. And this is where I store every single video I film, and I have an archive of everything in one place. And the really cool thing is that I have this synced to my NAS. So whenever I add anything into this particular folder, it'll download to my NAS and also store it over there. And I accomplish this through an app called CloudSync. And I actually use this for more than just my YouTube videos. On my NAS, I have a Plex server set up. If you want to learn more about that, check out my last video. But I have my Plex server connected to the CloudSync app. So all my final videos, so my Kirtan videos, my YouTube videos, my home videos, all of those final full-length videos are being backed up to the cloud. So I have 2 copies always, one locally on my NAS and one on the cloud as well. And it's all automated too. So whenever I add a video into my archive folder, it goes into my Plex server. Whenever I add a new movie to my Plex server, it automatically gets added to the Dropbox cloud. So they're all connected and they're all working in the background without me touching anything. So after archiving the final export, I also move the entire project folder and put it onto my NAS. And that is where I keep all the files for long-term storage. I can now delete the project off my external SSD and then rely on it being on my NAS moving forward. And now that I've completely finished the video and I've put all the footage that's left onto my NAS, I feel more than comfortable clearing my SD card and starting a new project. Now I'm well aware that there are a few flaws in my method here, and the first flaw being is my NAS isn't really backed up. So I have the cloud being synced to my NAS, and the only thing that's really syncing are those final videos I mentioned earlier. So all my other stuff, like the project files, the B-roll footage, and all of that raw stuff that I use to create the final videos, that isn't being backed up. That's only being stored on my NAS. And technically speaking, if my NAS does break, I'm gonna lose all of that stuff, because the only stuff that is really backed up is on the cloud on my Dropbox, which are those final videos. The reason why I'm okay with that risk is because my NAS is set up as a RAID. So I have multiple hard drives in my NAS, and if one drive fails, the other drives can rebuild the first one. So unless everything fails at the same time, I'm pretty safe. But again, this is at your own risk. I'm comfortable with that. All I really care about is the final videos anyway. I have these other files there, and if I lose everything, all I care about are those final exports. And the other flaw in my method here is I am deleting a lot of footage to make the solution work. I could technically store all my files, including this raw footage of me talking into the camera, but it'll take up a lot of space, and I'd probably have to buy more hard drives a lot faster if I did that. And I'm happy with just deleting this right here and only storing the stuff I actually need. But if you are working for a larger media agency or anything like that, you probably want to store everything, so you'll have to buy a much larger NAS with much larger drives to make this work, but it is possible. So yeah, that's basically it. If you're interested in learning more about anything I just talked about, please shoot me a message. I'm more than happy to talk about this more. I did a lot of research making this process, and I'm really happy with my workflow right now. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is the last video in my NAS series. If you haven't watched the other videos yet of what a NAS actually is, or how to choose the right one, or what a Plex server is, I've linked the whole playlist down below in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.